Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 41st meeting of the Honolulu Liquor Commission. Commissioners, I see there are some minutes to approve. May I have a motion?
Sure. Motion to approve the regular and executive session minutes for the 25th meeting and the 29th meetings, and the regular minutes of the 35th meeting as previously circulated.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The regular and executive session meeting minutes of the 25th and 29th meetings and the regular minutes of the 35th meeting as previously circulated are approved. Moving into our calendar for this afternoon, calling agenda item number 1 under public hearings, transfer application number 23-00211 from J&J Omni.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Min Young-woo on behalf of J&J Inc. On my right is Hong Shik-ong, who's president.
Mr. I.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This matter was continued from the May 4th meeting. Public hearing kept open. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicants met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Thank you, Mr. I. Is there anyone who'd like to testify as to agenda item number 1? Hearing and seeing none. Commissioners, comments, questions, or type of action?
Move we approve application number 23-00211.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-00211 is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 2, transfer application number 23-00249 from BNS Via Mart LLC.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Keith Kiyuchi for the applicant. To my right is Sung, S-U-H-N-G, Gyo, G-Y-O, Sung, S-U-H. We have no addition or revisions to the original investigator's report.
Thank you, Mr. Kiyuchi. Mr. I.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This matter was continued from the May 4th meeting. Public hearing kept open. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Thank you, Mr. I. Is there anyone who'd like to provide public testimony for agenda item number 2? Hearing and seeing none. Commissioners, any comments, questions, or type of action?
You change, just confirming the only entrance is the 2 front doors on the very top on
Yes.
Whitmore Avenue, correct?
That is correct. The chain link wall in the back does not have any entrance.
I have no other questions.
I move we approve application number 23-00249.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Transfer application number 23-00249 is approved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 3, transfer application number 22-24931 from Steve's Chicks Inc.
On behalf of Steve Chicks Inc. On my right is President Su Jung-shin.
Thank you. Mr. I.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Is there anyone who'd like to provide public testimony for agenda item number 3? Hearing and seeing none. Commissioners, any comments, questions, or type of action?
Only comment I have is Ms. Wu, let's make sure, looking at the violations at some of, I guess, the chicken factory thing, it looked like there was at least 1 or 2 every year from 2018 to 2021. Let's just work to make sure we don't have any type of violations going forward if we can at this area.
I also communicate with the owners.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
I move we approve application number 22-24931.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Transfer application number 22-24931 is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 4, application number 22-24867 from Ace Enterprise Group LLC.
Good afternoon,
James Luke.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. To my right is Katie Yoza, YOZ, and she is applicant. And may the record reflect Wayne Lucas counsel. There are no changes to the liquor investigator.
Mr. Luke, Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 3 letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. I understand there are individuals who'd like to provide public testimony. Could you please come up, sir?
Living 1655 Makaloa Street. I got the papers from
The public notice paper?
yeah,
Okay, great.
but I don't want any liquor license.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you want to provide public testimony, you may, but Ms. Rai must swear you in first.
Yeah. so you can like sit down and if you, at the table, no, at the table. Yep, yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna swear you in, then you're gonna give your name, okay? So you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear that the testimony you give at today's hearing will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you can, put your hands down. Thank you very much. Can you state your name for the record?
Yeah, it's my girlfriend and me and live together 1655 Makaloa 1109. So they have a lot of.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Could you actually state and spell your name?
My name is Hyung, HYUNG ROK LIN.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And my friend has gunshot and dead in the street around their place. So I don't want any liquor license is over there. I really sad around there. I mean, my friends is die on the street. So no more liquor license. Please. Every day ambulance and policemen came and fighting like that. Really crazy. Please, no. That's what I can say. I mean,
Thank you. Would you like to provide testimony as well, or is
so
it?
actually she doesn't speak English very well, but she's my brother.
Before you step down, commissioners, any comments or questions for the testimony? No. No. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to provide testimony as to agenda item number 4? Hearing and seeing none, commissioners?
Let me just make a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just go ahead.
Yes, he lives in the Makaloa, as he said, the condominium. And there, speaking, the condominium is more than 100 feet away from our premises. But the garage, which is in the back of Makaloa, we just touched the garage, and that's why any part of the condominium you touch, we have to mail to the whole condominium. So really, if the garage wasn't there, they would not even get a notice. They were more than 500 feet. And I don't think you can even see her premises from where it is.
I see every day. Policemen came, ambulance. Somebody knocked out down, I mean, somebody died like that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Commissioners?
So, Mr. Do one thing, so looking at your guys' floor plan, right, exhibit A, the first page. I know it's not marked in red, maybe on yours and on your copy it is. Is it the whole floor plan that's on exhibit A that's licensed?
Yes,
And then the second exhibit, that's the stairway to access the premises.
from Kapilani Boulevard.
Copy and movement there, you're gonna be licensing the stairway as well, because it's in red.
We have to, yeah, we have
Okay.
to do connect it up.
So the only other question I have is, based on the comments, by the public, I think I want to make sure that your client understands, we want them to make sure that the area is, people are not leaving that place being like majorly, bad enough where, something could happen to them, right? We
Sure.
want to try to keep the area as safe as we possibly can. But we also know that, businesses need to survive and also, work their way through, right? So if you can just make sure your client understands, they need to keep an eye on the people that are going to be in their establishment.
She will.
I have no other questions.
I move we approve application number 22-24867.
Second,
Got a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 22-24867 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 5, application number 22-24911 from Honolulu Beer Works LLC.
Good afternoon, Chairman Buckley, members of the commission, Naomi Cole on behalf of Honolulu Beer Works. Present to my right is owner Jeffrey, spelled Geoffery, Seideman, spelled Seideman. We have no changes to the investigative report. We did file with the application information that this small craft brew pub will be operating very similar to how they operate now with less food. They will also be serving flights.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cole. Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters of support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Is there anyone who would like to provide public testimony as to agenda item number 5? Hearing and seeing none, commissioners?
okay, so a couple of questions. So, construction is fully complete. You folks are ready to start manufacturing already?
No.
No.
We're still under construction.
Okay. So do you guys have an idea of how long you're going to need for construction? I mean, my major concern, right, is only if you get the license, right, you're gonna be brewing and things like that. I want to make sure, right, that you're not brewing, right? You don't want to be doing something else and have an issue. So I just want to make sure if you have an idea of that, you might want to update the commission in
Yeah, I'm
regards
hoping
to
3
it.
months is it's up to HECO.
Okay.
So we're bringing in power, so.
Okay. Then the other question I had is, I know there's gonna be a later license, right, for the area in the front. Is there a separate entrance for the brewing area other than the front entrance that walks through the other licensed area you're gonna have?
Yeah, there's an entrance, a roll-up door next to it, and we have 2 more roll-up doors on the Kalihi Street and
Okay.
Kalani Street as well.
That's the only questions I had.
Move we approve application number 22-24911.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 22-24911 is approved. Thank you. And we will call. Yeah, we will call out of order, agenda item number 8, application number 23-01161 from Honolulu Beer Works LLC.
Thank you, Commissioner Buckley, members of the commission, Naomi Cole on behalf of Honolulu Beer Works. Present to my right is the owner Jeffrey Seideman. We have no changes to the investigative report. And thank you for calling us out.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Ms. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This application has received 0 written protests, 0 letters in support. Applicants met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Is there anyone who would like to provide public testimony as to agenda item number 8? Hearing and seeing none, commissioners?
Ms. Cole, is there a wall that separates the two licensed spaces or no?
Yeah, there'll be a wall between that and the production space.
Okay, because I know I seen the,
It'll
you
be like
looked at the
half
two,
wall.
if you looked at the 2, 4, 6 blocks, right? There was a bigger space in the 2 blocks that were in front and then there wasn't in the back. So I just wanted to make sure that there'll be some type of
Yeah, there's gonna be a
separation between
barrier.
the 2 areas. So people cannot get from one to the other, okay? That's the only questions I have.
And I move we approve application number 23-01161.
Second,
Is there a motion and a second? Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-01161 is approved.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 6, application number 22-25064 from Eggs and Things Hawaii.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioner Robin Nosh on behalf of the applicant Eggs and Things Hawaii Inc. And to my right is Edwin Ota, the regional manager. Yuka Nawano is also the president, also present in the galley. We have reviewed the report and after the last hearing and serious consideration, the applicant has decided not to have the outside dining area. So we have already submitted the revised floor plan, removing the outside dining area and the adjoining lobby area.
Thank you, Ms. Melcher. Mr. Rai.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Excuse me. This application has received zero written protests, zero letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application.
Is there anyone who'd like to provide public testimony as to agenda item number 6? Hearing and seeing none, commissioners?
First thing, Ms. Melcher, thank you for taking a quick review and looking at the areas and the things we've kind of raised. So outside seating area will be areas you're gonna be able to still serve, but you're just not gonna license.
No,
You're just not gonna use it at all.
right.
No, we may use it for like takeout,
Dining or stuff that you're gonna use.
No liquor will
Okay.
exit the building.
Sounds like
Okay.
an understanding. Thank you.
Okay.
That's the only questions I have.
I had a question. So that was just primarily to be in compliance of the liquor laws, or you just decided that you needed a smaller?
There was just a little bit too much liability. I mean, that is a highly traffic area. There's the stairwell that we would have to commute from the restaurant down. So we just took that into consideration. Policing it and being liable would be a little bit too much. Took that into consideration.
Well, thank you very much for taking into consideration. Good luck. All right. I move we approve application number 22-25064.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 22-25064 is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 7, application number 22-25067 from House of Brewing LLC. Make a disclosure, the applicant was a client of my prior law firm. The applicant is not a client of my current law firm. This will not affect my ability to be disinterested in this here.
Good afternoon, Justin Hakenin, JUSTIN HEIKKINEN, owner of House Brewing.
Request, I don't know if you've seen this, but it's a request from the Hawaii State Legislature.
Yeah, this was just provided about 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Do you have
I
a comment on this?
My only comment would be that the public's had 60 days to comment it up to this time. I don't know what giving them extra time is gonna afford. But it seems weird to have that come in 20 minutes before the meeting when they've had the past 2 months comment on things.
Okay, I would agree. Commissioners, any questions or comments on, I'm sorry, before we go there, Mr. Wright?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This application has received zero written protests, zero letters in support. Applicant has met statutory requirements for the submission of this application, and you've already made note of the communication from Speaker Saiki and Senator Moriwaki. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Is there anyone who'd like to provide public testimony as to agenda item number 7? Hearing and seeing none, commissioners.
Okay, so a couple quick questions.
Yeah.
Are you ready to manufacture and start brewing right now? Are you still in
No, we're a couple
construction?
weeks out. Yeah, a couple weeks out, but we're getting there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
my big thing would be make sure you have good discussion with our administration on when you're gonna be starting, so we don't have things happening while you're not brewing beer there or do something, right?
Yeah, for
That's-
sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The other question I had is looking at your floor plan, you're also, the parking lot, you're looking to use, license that as licensed space?
No, not currently. Yeah. In the
Okay,
future, it'd be great if we get part of that, but that's not part of this plan at all. Right now, that's just.
but I'm just looking at the
Yeah,
the
right now
new
it's
floor
part-
plan, right? 'Cause it's
Yeah,
in red,
yeah,
but-
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah,
you're
no, I
currently
updated
not
it with,
using it.
the architect didn't originally label that roll-up door.
Okay,
So the feedback last time, and then we have a fire door we have to put in back now. So.
okay.
Before you pick up a license, could you provide a revised plan to show that the outdoor space is not licensed?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
in red, so we're looking at it as
Oh,
big. That's gonna be
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
licensed, so, okay,
I only have it black and white. So,
yeah, very good.
I
All
mean,
right.
if you want to license it, that's fine, but.
Well, there'll be a ton more questions.
Yeah, right.
That we
yeah.
might have about it if you're looking that way. I may have a ton more questions, but beyond that, that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
I was wondering, are you aware of any other additional reservations that people are having? of this?
I have no idea. Yeah, everyone has been very excited. I know the lady next door has been pissed just because she can't use my parking lot to park for her events anymore. But that's the only thing I know. Yeah, everyone else is excited. Like, yeah.
And we approve application number 22-25067.
Second,
Been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 22-25067 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Moving into preliminary hearings, calling agenda item number 9, transfer application number 23-00539 from West Petroleum Inc.
To my right is Jason Kim. He's the owner. He's friendly with council Wayne. We have been operating, we're on our second temp now and have no problems up to date.
Mr. Luke, commissioners. Mr. Luke, on the floor plan, it looks like the electrical box is also highlighted in red. Is that supposed to be part or not part of the?
It's not.
No.
Should. We don't use it anyway.
So.
Okay, so your question I had is, as I was reading through the report, right, they talked about it being listed as beer and wine and then changed to general, so. I mean, obviously, we may have to have some questions about in the future in regards to how it all changed, but. You know, work with the investigators in regards to those questions, because I'm not sure. Beyond that, that was the only question I had. Thank you.
And you want to change it to general, is that correct?
Yes, it's changed to general. It should be, that's the license.
We approve application number 23-00539.
Second,
There are motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Transfer application number 23-00539 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
And licensing will work with Mr. Luke in terms of clarifying that flip flopping between the two lines.
Yeah, and Mr. I understand from Wayne Luke's representation that because it's a transfer, it has to be identical.
Right.
And it was a general.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Calling agenda item number 10, application number 23-00443 from Noti Bar Honolulu LLC. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, Neil Gota, appearing on behalf of Noti Bar Honolulu LLC. Appearing with me is Chancellor Kim, spelled CHANCELOR, last name Kim, KIM. He's an owner of the applicant. We have no changes to the investigative report.
Mr. Gota, on the first page of the investigative report, you just mentioned that Mr. Kim is an owner, but it looks like the members are Mr.
Yeah, so Mr. Kim is the sole member of QC Holdings LLC, so owner of a member.
so. Mr. Gautam, the only entrance space is the one that's at the far bottom. Left of the floor plan?
Correct.
Okay, that's the only question I have. Thank you.
All right, and we approve application number 23-00443.
Second,
There are motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-00443 is approved.
Thank you very much.
Calling agenda item number 11, application number 23-01965 from Pacific Suites LLC.
Mr. Chair, I will be making a disclosure. That the ILW does represent the employees of the Foodland supermarkets that are listed in the investigative report. I am their actual representative. But we do not represent any of the employees that work for Redfish Poke Bar. This will not affect my ability to be impartial in deciding on this matter.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hollinger.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Mr. Rai Robert Uyoka on behalf of Redfish Poke Bar by Foodland. Respectfully request to proceed without my client is unable to be here. This is for a catering liquor license application for May 15th to August 12th. We do have a pending restaurant application. The licensing section has been really good at working with us. To be perfectly honest, it's kind of on us right now. We just have a floor plan issue. we're working on, but we expect to resolve it really soon, and we're hoping this is our last catering application.
We approve application number 23-01965.
Second,
Been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-01965 is approved.
Thank you so much.
Calling agenda item number 12, application number one.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, do you want to take the related item?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
It's the corresponding deletion,
Yes.
number 16.
16. I'm trying to look for it. There we are. Thank you. Calling out of order, agenda item number 16, request number 23-01975 from 2375 ROY Property LLC.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Christina O'Hara here for the applicant. We have no comments to the investigative report.
This is just a reduction of premises to accommodate the prior application.
Yes.
Commissioners.
I move we approve request number 23-01975.
second,
Been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Request number 23-01975 is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Going back in order, calling agenda item number 12, application number 18-12765 from Reigns International USA Co. Limited.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Peter Potente, General Counsel for the for Reigns USA, sitting here with Aki Yamaguchi, AKI YAMAGUCHI, is the Chief Operations Officer of the corporation.
Thank you. And just as a point of order, Mr. I, is this truly application number 18-127? Please fine.
12765.
118 seems long ago.
Yes. Yeah, no, because it took I think a long time to process this legitimately.
Okay.
It's because of and could you spell your last name? for
Yeah,
us?
Potente, Potente.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Mr. I. I just wanted to make sure that that was correct. Commissioners.
so. Mr. Potente, one of the questions I'm obviously going to have is a lot of things listed here about
Yeah.
names of stock owners, changes and everything
Yeah.
else. Is currently what you're going to have on file with us, who the owners and people are, is it current and correct and up to date as of today's date?
Yes, sir, it is. You know, one of the problems we had with our licenses, it was done under the previous ownership group prior to my involvement, prior to Mr. Yamaguchi's involvement. We've corrected everything. We worked as hard as possible to correct everything. We weren't in control of the changes that were made before, the lack of changes that were made before, but everything is correct and up to date. Yes. And we've been in business here for 20 years, but it was, we can't speak on behalf of the previous ownership group. We just simply can't.
But
That's
as
under,
of now, it's correct.
Excuse me?
But as of now.
Yes, everything is completely up to date and correct. Yes, sir.
and yes, I can understand you're not able to talk or speak over the prior ownership, whatever decisions they've made or moved.
Yeah,
But I also want to make sure that you folks currently, with all the names being correct, have a good set plan or idea of how you plan to keep us updated if people change, right?
yes, sir.
Because,
No.
you know what I mean? That was the problem, right? Things were
Yeah.
changing and
No,
nobody's
no, no,
telling
no.
anybody,
We-
right?
We are fully cognizant of that.
Okay,
We won't have these issues going forward at all.
I have no other questions.
I move we approve application number 18-1276.
Second,
It's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 18-12765 is approved.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 13, application number 23-00345 from Lava Tree White Tea Inc.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Sasha Kuhn, SASCHAKUHN. I'm the owner of Lava Tree White Tea.
Thank you, commissioners. So it looks like there's a transfer. And ultimately you will own 100% of the shares of this corporation.
That is correct, because Mr. McCall is stepping back due to his meeting.
Thank you very much. Commissioners.
I have no questions.
I move we approve application number 23-00345.
Second,
It's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-00345 is. Very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Following agenda item number 14, application number 23-01617 from Island Distillers Inc.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the commission, Neil Gota, appearing on behalf of Island Distillers Inc. To my right is Zachary Ryman, President. We have no changes to the investigative report.
Thank you, Mr. Gota, and Zachary Ryman will be the incoming president. Is that correct?
Correct.
Commissioners.
Move we approve application number 23-1617.
second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-01617 is approved. Thank you very much. Thank you. Calling agenda item number 15, request number 21-23357 from Hawaii MVCC LLC. Mr. Kiuchi.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Keith Kiuchi for the licensee. The investigator's report has no changes. It's correct. It's a late notification. Unfortunately, Mr. Weber did not inform council. I mean, that's kind of a long period of time, but nevertheless, it is what it is.
And we can deal with them.
Yeah, we'll deal with the back end later. Correct. Deal with the violation.
But the information, as indicated in the licensing report, is up to date, correct?
It is up to date with the, except Mr. Timothy Ayao just resigned, so I'll notify the commission about that. But you still have a manager. Just so you know, the background, Hawaii MVCC went into bankruptcy and has actually sold the asset to a Korean company, and we're in the process of transferring the license to the Korean company.
So we'll see you again.
Yeah,
Okay.
in fact, it's sitting in my office right now.
the only thing I want to say is, let's work with new guys to keep you updated, so you can keep everybody updated.
Yeah, I mean,
If possible, right?
you know, it's always a challenge, but you know, it's like, people are gonna do what they're gonna do. I hate to say that, but it's kind of what it is.
I have no other questions.
Okay, I move we approve request number 21-23357.
Second,
Been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Request number 21-23357 is approved.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 17, request number 23-01996 from Ferguson's Irish Pub LLC. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rai, Commissioners, Don Murphy, Ferguson's Irish Pub.
okay, so only question I have is based on the floor plan, looking at your license space. What will you be using to make the boundaries or keep the boundaries that'll be used? Is it fully enclosed?
No, it's the outside area around us. There's an atrium area next door to us.
Okay. Okay. All right. That's fine. Okay, I have no other questions.
Okay, I move we approve request number 23-01996.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Request number 23-01996 is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling agenda item number 18, request number 23-02017 from Mai Tai Lounge LLC.
I think with reunion. Days.
Chair, Commissioners, Devin Kobo representing Union Mac. To my right, Shana Yamada, YAMADA. She's the VP for Union Mac. To my left is Mr. Norm Warren, WARREN. He is the GM for My Time. This is a request for prolonged extension for the premises. Alamana has asked us to continue to try to do these events on Fridays and Saturdays as a sort of a test to see whether it's something they and My Time would like to continue.
And you've been doing it,
We actually did it Friday and Saturday, still worked out quite well. And so when the vet said, oh, do you want to try to see if you can continue this? Maybe move it into a more permanent thing. And we said, well, let's try first and see how it goes. It's kind of been ups and downs. So, but the banding and the stanchions and everything that we have in place will continue to remain that way. We're just trying to find a way to do it so that it's the least, I guess, impacted on our staff to make sure that they can roll things out quickly, bring them in quickly, make sure they have enough staffing to be able to keep doing it.
Yeah, because that's a pretty large space right behind the bar over there. You can have people walking in between Olive Garden and CPK, and because the space is normally open, right, on a regular basis, right?
But Mr. Warren has worked specifically with the site itself, so he can have more details for you with regards to how much spacing is actually between Olive Garden and CPK and where the beer garden is going to be.
I mean, most of the time when I go there, I don't go on the weekends often, but during the week, most of the people are just hanging out in that area, waiting to get into one of those two places more than anything else, right? So, but yeah, and then as we go, right, I mean, obviously, as things progress, we'll hear more about how either it's better or worse as things move on.
We'll be happy to come back and do a report for you if you like. About how many people at kind of max attend?
Set up for 40, but if it becomes standing room, we can easily add more.
I have no other questions.
I move we approve request number 23-02017.
Second,
there's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Request number 23-02017 is approved. Thank you very much. Commissioners, may I have a type of action for agenda item number 19 through agenda item number 24?
we make a motion for the items 19 to 24 before we turn to adjudication. We take a 5-minute chat for that.
Sure.
Motion for adoption of decision and order for agenda items number 19 through 24 inclusively.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Decision and order will be entered for agenda item number 19 through 24 inclusively. We move into adjudications. We will take a 5-minute recess. Here we are back on the record. Thank you for allowing us to have a brief recess. We are going to proceed with our adjudication hearings. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thomas Knapsiger, Deputy Corporation Counsel on behalf of the City and County of Honolulu.
Calling agenda item number 25, LCB 23-0049, Club Ruby. Right up here, sit down.
Oh, so
Yeah. State your names for the record.
Shauna Dilwith.
My name is Ognam Project.
Okay, Mr. Nasinger, can you please read the charge?
On or about April 21st, 2023, at 2:17 a.m. in the City and County of Honolulu, State of Hawaii, licensee failed to have the street and or primary entrances to the licensed premises unlocked during the time customers were on the premises in violation of Rule 3-84-72.2 of the Rules of the Liquor Commission of the City and County of Honolulu.
Ms. Dilwith, your last name again, I'm sorry.
My name is Ognam Project.
Burchett, who's gonna be responding? Ms. Burchett or?
Shauna. Yes.
So Ms. DeWitt, how would you like to? You can either accept the charge,
Mhm.
deny the charge, or plead no contest. Okay, so you're going to accept the charge?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to accept the plea?
Been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Nabzinger, your recommendations?
So again, this violation occurred on April 21st, 2023, when licensee failed to have the street entrances unlocked. This is licensee's second violation. The recommended fine is $750. The first violation was given on January 29, 2021. Resulted in a $500 fine. There were also two previous warnings given. One was given on October 1st, 2020, and the second warning was February 10th of 2023. Again, the overall recommended fine is $750.
So Ms. DeWitt, any explanations?
I felt unsafe because there's people come into the bar, you know, like street people.
Okay.
And I'm always there by myself. But then I locked the door and one of the customers had to use the bathroom. But I locked it because I felt unsafe. So then he was with another person. That person just sat at the bar and waited while the other one used the bathroom.
So there has been, just so you understand, though, there has been, where you guys had this happen once and they've given you guys two additional warnings, right? And then an additional warning happened in February, 2 months prior to this issue that they cited you for.
Yeah, I remember that warning. I had one, yeah.
So, I mean, you folks may have to have a discussion in regards to if it's that unsafe during those times, maybe not being open to a certain degree at that point, because technically anytime your establishment is open, right, and has customers in it, you have to have the doors unlocked, right? Because technically anybody could come in if there's a customer in there,
Yeah,
right? So, I mean, I'm just giving you ideas because if you don't think of how you're going to fix this, right? There could be possible times you're gonna get the same thing happen again, because it's happened a total of what, like 5 times now, right? You had one first charge, 2 warnings, and then 4 times, right? This is the 4th one actually, right? So it's just an idea or a
Yeah.
thought process, okay?
yes.
My motion is going to be to approve the recommended fine of $750 for agenda item number 25.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $750 will be imposed for agenda item number 25. Thank you. Calling agenda item number 26. LCV 23-0047, Don Quixote.
Yes. Thank you.
Commissioner Avery Matra on behalf of licensee Don Quixote USA Co. Limited doing business as Don Quixote. With me is Kiko Wakukawa, WAKUKAWA. She is the director of Pan Pacific Retail Management USA. Will waive reading of the charge, enter a plea of no contest with an explanation.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second. There's been a motion and second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Nabziger, your recommendations, please.
This violation occurred on March 31st, 2022, when licensee failed to notify the commission of a change in officer or director. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $500.
My apologies, I couldn't get your last name quickly enough.
Of course, Matro, MATRO.
Ms. Macho, your explanation, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. And these changes are made upstream from licensee at the parent company in Japan. So when the Honolulu office receives note of it, they kind of have to play a little bit of catch up with the directors. And in this particular instance, Mr. Tanioka is also in charge of developing the other locations in California, Guam, as well as Hawaii. And so during the months, the licensee was attempting to notify the commission. Mr. Tanioka was unable to be as responsive as we think he could have been. However, we have made the Japan office aware of this issue. They understand that even though they may move around directors and officers for their other locations, for Hawaii specifically, they need to be really cognizant of our obligations to report. And so they have been aware, they acknowledged it, and we hope that this won't be an issue moving forward.
Thank you. My motion is going to be to approve the recommended fine of $500 for agenda item number 26.
Second. There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $500 will be imposed for agenda item number 26. Very much. Calling agenda item number 20.
Would it be possible to do agenda item number 29?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we can do that. We can call out a word. Mr. Nabziger?
Yes.
Mr. Nabziger, is that okay?
Absolutely.
Calling out of order, agenda item number 29, LCV 23-0045 Times Supermarket.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Avery Matra on behalf of licensee QSI Inc. doing business as Times Supermarket. With me is Mikiko Wakukawa, Director of Pan Pacific Retail Management USA. We'll waive reading of the charge. However, we will just note that the charge listed in the notice of hearing lists Mr. Tanioka as the director who was removed. However, if the commission would refer to Exhibit B to the investigator's report, it was actually Mr. Matsumoto and Mr. Higa that were the directors who were added, not Mr. Tanioka. So, but the notice is what it is. We're not contesting it. So we'll be pleading no contest with an explanation.
Thank you, Ms. Matra.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Nabziger, your recommendation for agenda item 29.
This violation occurred on December 31st, 2021, when licensee failed to notify the commission of a change in officer or director. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $500.
And again, Commissioners, this was an instance where the Honolulu office was playing catch up with Japan, and specifically in this instance, Mr. Matsumoto was actually relocating from Japan in order to serve as the director here. And so this notification period kind of coincided with his relocation. So again, best efforts were made to timely notify the commission. Unfortunately, just didn't happen in this case. But again, Japan has been made aware of this issue and will endeavor to give the Honolulu office enough time to comply.
My motion is going to be to reduce the fine and make it a $250 fine for agenda item number 29.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $250 will be imposed for agenda item number 29.
Yes, thank you.
Calling agenda item number 27, LCV 23-0046 Hart Miller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Keith Hughes for the licensee. Waive reading of the charge. We're going to deny all three charges and ask be set for a contested hearing.
Okay, this matter will be continued, to the next available calendar hearing for a contested case. So will you waive reading of the procedure?
We'll waive reading the procedures. My understanding in communicating with Mr. Nafziger, we're already looking at July. So we're gonna try to make an effort to see if we can work it out. This involves more a matter of me talking to a non-employee witness. Let's get that resolved.
And by July, you mean just the next available? is
Yeah.
July, or you want a date certain?
No, the next available is July. right
For a
now.
contested case
Right, for
specifically, it would be
contested
July.
Then agenda item number 27 is continued to the next available calendar date for a contested case hearing.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 28, LCV 23-0048, Study Hall Sports Bar and Grill Smokehouse University.
Good afternoon, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay.
My on behalf of Study Hall.
Mr. Nafziger, can you please read the charge?
On or about April 14, 2023, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee failed to have an employee duly registered with the Liquor Commission as a manager or assistant manager of the premises on which he or she is employed, in active charge of the licensed premises in violation of Rule 3-82-38.9 subsection A of the Rules of the Liquor Commission of the city and county of Honolulu.
Sorry, your last name again?
Powell, sir.
Powell. Mr. Powell, how would you like to plead?
I'd like to plead no contest with explanation if possible.
Okay. Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Nafziger, your recommendations, please.
Again, this violation occurred on April 14, 2023, when licensee failed to have a manager in active charge of the premises. This is licensed second violation. The recommended fine is $750. The first violation occurred on February 2nd, 2023, which resulted in a $500 fine.
Mr. Powell, your explanations.
We hired Mr. Shane as a manager. He wasn't from Hawaii and wasn't familiar with the rules. We sent him down with the paper. He said that the young lady gave him the yellow card. We had no knowledge of that. Once we got the violation, he literally came in the next day to get the blue card again with the same paperwork, but not in order for us not to have this happen again, we're literally doing color copies of all staff and having a full color copy of this. So
Okay. So he was actually the manager during the time that
he
it
was hired as a
happened.
manager. He does the scheduling,
Okay,
and we sent them down with the paper. He said it was an older young lady who did his paperwork, and she issued him a yellow card.
Okay.
And we had no knowledge of that, unconsciously incompetent about that. And then, immediately afterward, we had him come down, obviously, and get another one like the next day of having the violation, but it's too late for that. But in order for us not to have it happen again, now we're doing color copies, full page, 8.5 by 11 of each individual employee, so we know.
yeah, and then, I guess, Mr. Nafziger, does it say that in the charge, the time period in which they came or they showed up at the bar?
Looks like commissioners or investigators arrived at 8:53 p.m.
And just to clarify, make sure I'm understanding you correctly, when they went down to get the card, he thought that as a manager, he was getting the correct card.
Yes.
And it wasn't the correct card.
It wasn't
Yes.
correct.
And Mr. Powell, how many blue card holders do you have in your?
We have a total. I believe we have a total of 7 or 8. We would have no reason not to have a blue card holder there, like, I'm so embarrassed, but it is what it is. But we'll plead no contest. At least we had an opportunity to explain. I'm not sure what it's gonna be.
I'm going to, okay, so my motion, and maybe I might make it wrong, so people may have to help me correct this, but my motion is going to be this. I'm going to approve the recommended fine of $750, but I'm going to suspend the collection of that fine for 1 year. If you do not have any other violations of the same thing within that 1 year, you won't pay the fine. If you do have a violation within that 1 year for the same type of thing of not having a blue card, that $750 fine will be collectible, and whatever other amount you get for a violation. Did I make it correct? Right?
Yeah, you got it.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $750 will be imposed for agenda item number 28. But such amount will be suspended for collection for a period of 1 year. And it will be due and owing if within that 1 year. There is another similar violation of Rule 3-82-38.9. And any additional penalty for this, the second violation will also be due and owing.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. You will be dismissed.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Calling agenda item number 30, LCB 23-00222, Cantina LLC DBA Encore Saloon. That's it.
Good afternoon, Commission. Daniel Kailii. I'm the owner of Encore Saloon.
Mr. Nafziger, can you please read the charge?
On or about February 20th, 2023, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee permitted liquor of any kind while in bottle, glass, or other container to be open and readily consumable within the licensed premises before or after hours established by the Liquor Commission, to wit, 2:08 a.m. in violation of Rule 3-82-38.20 subsection B of the Rules of the Liquor Commission of the city and county of Honolulu.
And my apologies, I know I'm going to botch it, Mr. Kaili.
That's it.
Okay, go. That's there. How would you like to plead? You can accept the charge, deny the charge, or plead no contest.
No contest.
Accept the plea.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Please accept it.
Mr. Nafziger, your recommendations for number 30, please.
This licensee's first violation, the recommended fine is a total of $580, which consists of a $500 base fine and an $80 surcharge for the 8 minutes passed.
Mr. Kaili, excuse me, Mr. Kaili, your, and any explanations?
It was a policy breakdown. The manager that was on duty that night actually was suspended from this incident, and he's no longer with us. It was an opportunity for us to learn and go over it, which would be another charge afterwards, but
This was
And there's, the dates are a little bit different, so. Okay. My motion is going to be to approve the recommended fine of $580 for agenda item number 30.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $580 will be imposed for agenda item number 30. Calling agenda item number 31, LCB 23-0008, Katina LLC DBA Encore Saloon.
good afternoon. Daniel Kailii, owner of Encore Saloon.
Commissioners, if I may, before we proceed, at the last hearing for this matter on April 27th, 2023, I had requested the default be entered when the licensee was not present. However, it was brought to my attention that I had inadvertently misremembered that we had continued both of the matters to today's hearing. So I would request that the default be set aside and we hear this as a first adjudication.
Commissioners, may I have a motion on the set aside?
Motion to set aside the default judgment.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The default is set aside.
So then we need Mr. Nafziger for you to read the charge, correct?
Correct. On or about January 28, 2023, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee permitted liquor of any kind while in bottle, glass, or other container to be open and readily consumable within the licensed premises before or after the hours established by the Liquor Commission, to wit, 2:16 a.m. in violation of Rule 3-82-38.20 subsection B of the Rules of the Liquor Commission of the city and county of Honolulu.
Hey, Mr. Kawalai, how would you like to plead?
No contents.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Nafziger, your recommendations for agenda item 31.
This also constitutes a first violation. The total recommended fine is $660, which consists of a $500 base fine and a $160 surcharge for the 16 minutes passed.
Okay, I'm just gonna be any explanations?
I did get my dates switched around. This was
purely an accident. This happened, this was the most recent incident and, it was, I think there was a can of beer, empty can of beer that was overlooked by my staff while they were cleaning. And, they were surprised. Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm just looking at the two charges. So the first one, the prior one was February 2nd, 2023. This one is January 28th, 2023. So the January one is the earlier one. And the February one is the later one.
Correct.
Okay, so the January one is basically where they missed a can of beer or something, an empty can that was out there.
No, I think the
Setting
first
up.
incident was an actual mistake, like a policy
Okay.
mistake.
Okay,
The second was an oversight. while
Okay.
Staff was.
okay. Okay, so. You've figured out or have gotten to a point now, because this is like 2 consecutive months, right? January and February, where you have figured out what we need to do to correct this from happening again going forward, correct?
100%. We've had multiple conversations. And I just want to clarify in the explanation you just had, there was an empty container, no one was consuming alcohol, it just wasn't cleared. Is that correct?
According to the report, when investigators arrived, they observed 2 cans of Tecate and 1 glass cup on the bar counter area. The licensee's employee, Mr. Campbell, over instructions from the Liquor Commission investigators, removed the 2 cans and the glass cup from the bar counter and walked them out of view from the commissioners or from the investigators. The investigators later went back to the food service area and located the 3 drinks.
And that was the first incident, and that employee was suspended without pay. And he's actually no longer with us.
And he is right that the first violation we heard from February, there was just 1 can that was out on the table. It's correct.
Was anyone around that can, or was it just out on the bar? I believe it was on a table by the front, and staff were throughout the restaurant, like mopping, and so no one was around.
According to the investigators' report, there was 1 person that was laying down on bar stools next to the can, but they weren't actively drinking.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so. My motion is going to be to. Approve a recommended fine of $500 for agenda item number 31.
Second. Then a motion and a second, any observations, hearing seeing none, I also vote aye, the motion carries. A fine of $500 will be imposed for agenda item number 31. Thank you. Calling agenda item number 32, LCB 22-0153 Club Rosa. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Min Young-woo on behalf of Tokiwa Inc.
Mr. Knopfinger, can you please read the charge?
On or about September 1st, 2022, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee without commission approval transferred to another person the licensee's business for which the licensee's license was issued, either openly or under any undisclosed arrangement, whereby such other person came into possession or control of the business or took in any partner or associate in violation of section 281-41 subsection H of the Hawaii Revised Statutes.
Ms. Wu, how would you like to plead? You can accept the charge and charge of no contest.
No contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second. Then a motion and a second, any objections, reservations, hearing seeing none, I also vote aye, the motion carries. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Knopfinger, your recommendations for agenda item 32.
This licensee's first violation, the recommended fine is $500.
Ms. Wu, any explanations?
So this is happening while the current license is seeking to sell her business. And there was some confusion and mistake in the order of the process. However, and she didn't have any intention to violate the regulation. But she understand there was a violation at the end and will accept the decision of legal commission. As explanation, the actual transfer was not happened as a result of the seeking though. But she understands there was a violation.
She understands that going forward, right? If there's gonna be any changes, she needs to let you know soon enough to get it into us in a timely manner. My motion is going to be to approve the recommended fine of $500 for agenda item number 32.
Second.
Then a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $500 will be imposed for agenda item number 32. Calling agenda item number 33, LCD 20-0044, Club 550.
Commissioners, just to note on this one, the no contest plea was accepted for charge 3 on March 23rd, 2023, and the penalty phase was continued to hear the other 2 charges.
I, Robin Milch, on behalf of the licensee Club 550, and to my right is Nelson Cho. We want to change the plea from the no contest, from not guilty to no contest, and the remain
Charges 1 and charges 2.
correct.
You waive reading of the charge.
Yes, I'm really reading the charge. Yes.
Motion to accept the plea for charge 1 and charge 2.
Second.
We've got a motion and second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Please accepted for charge 1 and charge 2.
So, Mr. Knopfinger, can you give me the recommendations for charge 1, charge 2, and charge 3, since charge 3 is already there?
Sure. For charge 1, all 3 violations occurred on January 24th, 2020. Charge 1, licensee permitted a person other than a registered dancer to be unclothed in the premises. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $500. For charge 2, licensee employed a person as a dancer without said person being properly registered with the commission. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $500. For charge 3, licensee failed to have a time card for Tiari Shikagi. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Okay, Ms. Melcher, any explanations for 1, 2, and 3?
So she did register that day, but the previous night before, she was not, she was an employee. She did have a yellow card and she was supposed to go and get her dancing card and her manager's card, but she got it that day. So that's why we had entered a not guilty plea, because as of that day of the violation, she did have her dancer card and her manager's card.
She just didn't have it with her. Was that?
No, she got it that morning.
The
So
violation occurred about 2 a.m.
Right.
Earlier in the morning, before she got it. Okay,
Correct.
got it.
Our
Okay.
offices weren't open yet.
Yes,
Okay,
and that was the confusion.
So that's as to charge 2 and charge 3. Is there any explanations as to charge 1?
I think that's the one we played no contest already, correct?
That's
So-
charge 3.
so the time card one was number 3, which is no contest. Number 2 was for the person not having registration. The other one was charge 1 is about the one that someone dancing that's not registered. So actually she's both the same
Yes,
person.
yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. My motion is going to be to approve the recommended fine of $500 for charge 1. To approve the recommended fine of $500 for charge 2. And then my motion is going to be to approve the recommended fine of $250 for charge 3.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $500 would be imposed for charge 1 and charge 2, and a fine of $250 would be imposed for charge 3 of agenda item number 33. Thank you. Calling agenda item number 34, LCB 20-0124 Club Secrets.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Each licensee waive reading of the charge. Enter a plea of no contest on item 34.
And to accept the plea. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seen none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Knopfinger, your recommendations for number 34.
This violation occurred on June 19th, 2020, when licensee permitted Ann Lu'u to touch or fondle genitalia of another person on the licensed premises. This is licensee's first violation. The recommended fine is $1,000.
Mr. Kyuchi?
So let me put this in context. The violation occurred on June 19th, 2020. So this was, if you remember, COVID hit Lee Sitting County of Honolulu on March 19th, 2020. So this was after the establishments were allowed to reopen, but clubs like Club Secret that at a hostess bar had to operate as a restaurant. So at the time, the owner did not have employees come in. The woman that was there showed up with a customer. She literally, quote unquote, serviced the customer, but she was not on the clock. As Mr. Knapsinger and I talked, however, the rule says, you know, suppressing any type of activity like that. So it's not just whether she was on the clock. My client did not know that this Ann Lu would come in and commit this kind of offense, but it occurred. And she doesn't work there anymore for obvious reasons.
Okay, so I guess one of my questions is, but she was at that time an actual employed to dance at that establishment?
She's a former employee. This is a hostess establishment,
Okay.
so it doesn't have,
Okay,
so it's not a nudity, it's not a strip show.
okay,
She actually told the investigator she was a former employee, which probably means that she was working for the bar before COVID. She wasn't brought back during this time of COVID because there was no need for hostesses. So Tracy, the owner, didn't bring her back after that for obvious reasons. So
so my motion is going to be lengthy. My motion is going to be, I'm going to approve the recommended fine of $1,000, but I'm going to suspend collection of that $1,000 for a period of 1 year. During which that time of 1 year, if a violation of similar nature occurs, we will be able to collect the $1,000 fine and or any fine that is imposed on that violation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seen none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $1,000 will be imposed for agenda item number 34 with the terms and conditions as provided and set forth in the motion. Thank you for your speech.
and we have a penalty phase on 35.
Correct. Calling agenda item number 35, LCB 22-0011 Club Secrets.
Again, Kiyuchi for the licensee. We've already pled no contest. This is a penalty.
Mr. Knopfinger, your recommendations for agenda item 35.
This violation occurred on January 20th, 2022, when licensee failed to make time record entries for its employee. This is a second violation. The recommended fine is $350. The first violation occurred on May 24th, 2018, which resulted in a $250 fine.
Mr. Kyuchi, explanations?
Best explanation is an oversight on my client's part, looking this over. First violation in 4 years. So
I will note that he's about 1 week away from the 5-year cutoff. on the
Yeah.
First violation.
Okay.
I'm not gonna pay this. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Asking what's the first time violation?
The first violation occurred on May 24th, 2018, which resulted in a $250 fine.
Normally the fine would be $250.
If we were having this hearing a week from today, it would have been a first violation with a $250.
And Yeah, I don't do stuff like that. I just don't, sorry.
I understand. So after hearing all of the explanations, I am going to make a motion to approve a recommended fine of $250 for agenda item number 35.
The motion and second, any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The fine of $250 will be imposed for agenda item number 35.
Thank you.
Moving into other business, calling agenda item number 36, liquor administrator, administrative matters, Ms. Harat.
I don't have anything to add. If the commission needs anything specific, put on the agenda for, next week or subsequent weeks, make sure you let me know. That's not a hint or anything else. Don't come up with something because you're gonna think you're gonna hurt my feelings or something. I just want to remind you. Have nothing further.
Commissioners, any further questions or comments, Ms. Harat? Hearing and seeing